And of course, we recommend the side hustler for multiple reasons. You really don't want to get too deep into the weeds of being a big time professional trying to make big time money in the casino, because there are all kinds of things that the casino will do to you that you don't see on Instagram or TikTok or someplace else. It all looks like it's all up and fair, and that you win the money and you get the money and all that stuff. And I'm just going to tell you, it actually won't work that way. And I have my own personal experiences to vouch for what can happen. That is their house. That casino is their house. Those checks are their checks. You can legitimately bring the checks to the cashier, and they can legitimately tell you, we're not cashing them. And there's not a whole lot you can do about it. Oh yeah, you can sue. It sounds nice and simple to sue, but suing a casino is not a simple endeavor. They have hundreds of lawyers everywhere, and you do not have the deep enough pockets to go all the way to the Supreme Court trying to get your money. So it's better to play as a side hustle. It's better to make side hustle money, and we can make it here. I'm going to show you how, and I have shown, and we have many out there in the kingdom that are making the Joey Knish kind of money. I talk about it. You can make $100 a session, $200 a session, three. I have some that are making $400 a session, but you don't want to win $1 million. You don't want to win several $1,000s. You want to stay below the radar, get your money that can be multiplied times days, times casinos for a full year, and see how much money it adds up to, because it adds up to a lot. So who do we have in here tonight? We've got Guaping here and Bill Latta, who's still winning money. I'm trying to caution Bill Latta because he's just killing it and getting very, very optimistic. So I'm trying to rein Bill back in just a little bit. And I'll talk more about that tonight. Good evening, Chuck Ritter. And Chuck would be a classic example of Bill for you to work with. Gary Sherinian, how you doing? And we have Act 7733. Don't know that I've seen you before. You're very welcome to be here. Brian Brown. I think Brian is over in Terre Haute. I'm trying to remember, Brian. Correct me if I'm mistaken. Gerardo Gonzalez. Hello. KC Steve. KC Steve is like Bill. I'm going to try to rein KC Steve back into, because things are going great, and KC Steve is killing it too out there in Kansas City and elsewhere, because he's rolling the big rig around the country. He can play just about anywhere, but I don't want anybody to get stung by the meat grinding buzzsaw that can hit you. And I want to talk about some ways that you avoid that tonight. Hey, Brian Brown, thank you very much, because you talked about Brian Brown. I'm going to ask you to make a comment on this. You talked about that. I think you mentioned that there's a Baccarat eye block at Terre Haute, a low roller Baccarat eye block at Terre Haute. If that's true, would you tell me? And if so, I don't know. I might come over and take a look at it and talk to you about that one time, because Terre Haute's only an hour or so west of me, and I might catch up with you over there for a Diet Coke and a chat over the game. It'd be nice to meet you. Let me know if they have the eye block low roller Baccarat over there. And so that's a good place for me to start up with. KC Steve, I tell you, another 340. I don't know how much that is total. I reveled in your email, because you just won and won and won and won. But again, tonight I'm going to talk about a lot of things beyond just our D'Alembert version of playing Baccarat. And I have a lot of ground to cover. And if I put someone to sleep, please doze off, go right ahead. Or if you've had enough of me, tune me out. That's okay. Ron 4306, how you doing, buddy? So let's start by saying this. A lot of people are in the casino believe that these games are skill games, particularly blackjack players. Nobody is more proud of their game than a blackjack player. Even a blackjack player who loses most of the time is convinced that he's going to outthink this game and win it. And I try to caution them over and over again. If I go past blackjack table after blackjack table, and I watch everybody lose all the time, and I watch everybody get mad at the guy who didn't hit the 6 or did hit the 16 or just stood on the 16 or surrendered to 16, all these things as though they can predict what the next card is that comes out of the deck, and you cannot do that. And even the very notion that the dealer's 6 up card means they have 16. Just think about that for a minute. You guys are the best people in the world to ask this. It's a multiple station iBlock machine. $5 seems to have a lot of Baccarat players. Also roulette and craps on machine. Yeah, I'm not going to play roulette and craps anywhere, machine or otherwise. But if I did play craps, I would be buying the 4 and the 10 and Fibonacciing it over and over and over again. But only thing I would play is Baccarat. I'm into that right now, Brian, as far as I can explain why Baccarat. Everybody thinks that there are skill games and there are luck games in a casino. Truth be known, they are all luck, every one of them. That's why the casino has games there. The only skill game, true skill game in the casino is poker in the poker room, where the really, really good players win all the time because they are really, really good players. All other games are luck, which is why we are, now I know you card counters out there going to be telling me, blah, 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 I saw the movie and all that. I'm just going to tell you, I've been doing it for a long time. And the card counting, no matter what you have for a count, the dealer can get the same cards that you've counted up and you could get the wrong ones. And also, it doesn't matter at blackjack because the dealer is going to sit there until you have busted or made your hand. And if your made hand is 18 and a half or lower, you are at a definite disadvantage. And so there's too many advantages to the blackjack game to the house. Hey, Trish Graves, good evening. But the reason I ended up on Baccarat, I guess about a year ago, after having searching for a way to win consistently. And when I say consistently, I've been shooting for winning every time. Never have a failure. No failures. Win all the time, 100% of the time. That's what we're in pursuit of. We're really close to it too. And as witness of several players in the kingdom are winning all over the place right now, just using the simple single chop. So we're going to talk some more about that. But the reason we're in Baccarat is because we're going to admit that it's luck. Yes, there's about a 1% advantage to the banker hitting. And yes, that does matter. And yes, if you can play the no commission table, that's a little bit better, accepting that you will lose occasionally on the banker 3 card 7 push. Or you won't win your money. You don't lose, you won't win your money. But I find that to be the better table. I don't want you guys going in and playing huge numbers, although I'm going to talk to you about that tonight because some of you are playing to where you need to win multiple hands. And I don't want you playing that way. One of the advantages to what we have here is we play to win one hand. We play to go up 1 unit. You can go up 1 unit on the very first hand. You got to have the discipline to take your money and get up and go. And I don't care if you're playing for $25, $100, $200, $300, $400. I would use $400 as a maximum because to truly be able to play this game, you've got to walk into the casino with 50 times your session profit goal, because your session profit goal is going to be your first bet. It's going to be the general level of your bet. And so you've got to have 50 times that amount to withstand some kind of buzzsaw that you could hit coming out of the gate. I call it a DEFCON 5. Oh my gosh, it's a DEFCON 5. We've lost the first 2, the first 3, the first 4 hands. It can happen. And when it happens, it's much better for you to have 50 times your amount so you can settle in with your D'Alembert. Plus 10, minus 9, or plus 5, minus 4. Nothing different. Those are the only D'Alemberts we would be using. And if you did get the buzzsaw to where you're down $1,500, $1,600, $1,800 to begin with, and you win a couple of hands, and you find yourself within reach of getting even, bet the amount necessary to get even. Hopefully you will get even, if not get even in the next hand, and then you can reset your entire game. One of the other things to do is, if you can find the landscape, you can do this if you have multiple tables. If you don't, you won't have a chance. But if you have multiple tables, set the landscape with 2, 3, or 4 in a row, wins of streaks sitting on the quads, four quads or quads, quints, and trips sitting on the big road, followed by a chop, and jump in that it's going to chop the other side then. And also, as you're playing along, if you find yourself you lost a chop and then it streaked like six bankers in a row or something like that, and then flipped over to the player, your bet would be banker. I'm advising you don't do it. I'm advising you wait till you get a second chop back. Wait till even if there is a chance that you would chop back to the banker there, but if you get five or six bankers in a row followed by one player, many times, more than 50% of the time, it's going to have a two player in a row, and I don't want you to lose that bet. So it's much better to defer and just wait it out. But you want your first bet to equal your session profit goal, divisible by 10 or by 5. It'll work that way. You want to have a one bet and walk opportunity and build your money. This is your LLC. Be prepared mentally that DEFCON 5 could happen. And speaking of DEFCON 5, that's what happened to me the other night. So we did, let me see if I can find this here. I've got something here that I'd like to show. Okay, so there we go. I took $10,000 into the casino, and I'm looking for a $200 session win. I want to simply put $10,200 back into Kingdom Money, and then begin to talk to you guys about what we might do, whether we go to Vegas again, what do we do. But I just wanted to, as a test, I wanted to put $200 in, and I'm finally strong enough to where I'm starting. You see how I'm talking? I'm getting a little bit stronger all the time. But I walked in with the $10,000 and I bet the $200 right off. And I lost. There it is. So my next bet, Dell & Bear, is up 10 units of 100. So I'm going to bet $300, my next bet. And if I win, I'm up $100. And now I can bet a simple $100 to try to get my money out of there without much risk and get 200 or 190, thereabouts, close enough to 200. But my $300 bet lost. I put the running total over there so you can see. So we're down $500 right now, right? Toronto's up 2-0. Yeah, we gotta like that. I want this series to get extended. I want to have a lot of fun with this series because these are two really good teams, just like in the National League. And there's no mistaking that Ohtani put up the greatest numbers you've ever seen in any kind of baseball game. I mean, that was reminiscent of whenever it was, 1929 or 30 with Babe Ruth. It was that kind of a time. So anyway, there I am. I lost the $300. I'm down $500 right now. But I did come in with $10,000. I'm prepared for it. Can happen. Bad things can happen. This is to Bill Lotta. This is to Casey Steve. This is to all you guys who are out there playing. Corey Jensen and Chuck Ritter, everybody. You guys know, but I want you to take a look at it. So I got a $400 bet coming up, right? If I win, I'm not too bad. I'm down 100. I can bet 100 again to try to get even if I want. But lost again. This is the buzzsaw. You've lost 3 in a row. I'm close to breaking glass for emergency. Oh my goodness, I'm down $900. But I do have 10,000. I got 9,100 in my pocket. So I buy in for a little more, and I bet 500. Uh-oh. Now I'm down $1,400. I have lost 4 straight hands. I'm going to bet $600 because that's the bet. I'm calm. I know these things can happen. I know that the odds of the single chop is going to eventually turn for me. It's not going to do pairs, trips, and quads all night long. There is going to be a single chop somewhere. So here's my $600 bet, and there's my first win. So I won $600. I'm down $800, but that's a whole lot better than being down $1,400. Toronto's up 4-0 now, Trish. Fantastic. Let's pour it on. Let's get this win and get out of here for tonight. So my next bet's going to be $510, right? Because I'm going down 90. That's what I'm doing. There it is. And I won it. So now I've fought my way back to down $290. If you look at it, I have won 2 hands and lost 4. And I'm only down $290. I'm within reach of getting back. And so I thought about it and I bet $290 just to get even, but I lost. So now I've won 2 hands and I've lost 5, and I'm down $580. It's like I'm not even winning 50-50. And I said this game is 50-50. This game is luck. What you're winning with is your bet. You're not winning with your selection. You're winning because the selection is not banker or player. The selection is single chop. That's why it's different than playing banker or player. We are betting single chop, and now we're down 580. So here goes the bet for, what is it? It's 390, of course. It's up $100. And we won. Now I got a decision to make because I'm down 190. I fought my way all the way back. I'm showing you the entire session as it went. There's the 390 bet. There's the $300 bet. Down 9 units. I'm plus 110. I'm plus $110 right now. Now the next bet is supposed to be, if I play it right, I'm going to bet $100 here. But I decided to try to get out of here nice and solid. So I made my own audible and I bet 200 instead of 1. And I lost. So now I'm down 90. Then I went to 300 for my last bet and I won and I'm plus 210. I won 5 hands, lost 6 hands, exactly the kind of percentage we want. We won 45% of the hands. We lost $18.90 and won $2,100 in the session. And so the session is plus 210. So I came back and I added the 210 with the $10,000 back into our account. And so that's what I got. And we'll talk about whether we play further or what we do. Great time, yeah, that Ohtani, but that's just, I mean, he's going to be the modern day Bobby Bonilla because I think Bobby Bonilla still gets $1 million a year from the Mets until year 2035. They're probably going to have to pay Ohtani until he dies, his wife dies, and his children are still living. There's no telling how long they're going to have to pay Ohtani because his money is already spread out into like the 22nd century or something like that. So I'm going to ask you guys again. Let's say you went to the casino with, I don't know, $1 million. And let's say you played high stakes like you see on the Instagram reels. And let's say you won $1 million. Do you know what happens? Do you really believe that you walk to the cashier's cage and they hand you shrink-wrapped $1 million on a cart that you could take to your car? Do you really think that happens? Because they show you that on Instagram. I'm going to tell you now, it doesn't happen. It's never going to happen. It's not that you can't get the money that way. You can, because the casino must have enough money in their vault to cover all the checks that are on the floor. So they do have that kind of money. But there is such a paperwork nightmare. You will be there until tomorrow night signing forms to try to get that money. It will not be any kind of easy opportunity. You're going to get it transferred to you, but even then, there's something called the IRS. And these guys that say they won $6 million, they never say, yeah, I had to pay taxes of $2 million. They act like all of it went to them and they're big high rollers. These guys are influencers because in the real world, you can't simply do that. And you guys know that when I was preparing for Vegas trip the first time, I talked to the pit boss and he said I could keep the horseshoe chips and I could cash them out whenever I decided to leave. And so I did that. And I had, I think I had like $11,000 in chips, but of the 11,000, only like 5,000 was profit. And so that night I was going to go to Vegas the next day. I went to the cage. They wouldn't cash them. They said, there's no way we can verify that you really won these chips. We've watched all the cameras. We saw you back there. You didn't win that much money. So where'd these chips come from? And so I told them that I had had the chips for over a month because I wasn't waiting in the line every night to cash out. And they said, well, you should have because we're not cashing them. And there I sat with all those horseshoe chips. Several of them were $1,000 chips. Several of them were $100 chips, but they would not cash them. And I began to think of, what in the world do I do now? So I went back into the Baccarat room to the pit boss that had okayed it for me, and I explained to him what had happened, and I asked him to please go to the cage and vouch for me so that I can rightfully be paid. And thankfully, he did. And they did pay me. But that was the lesson learned, that these checks do belong to the casino, and they actually can tell you, go to HELL, we're not cashing them, and the only thing you can do is go find yourself some lawyers and pay all that money and hope to win a case, which you're not going to win. And so we need to play Joey Knish. We need to buy in for 1,000. If we need another 1,000, buy in for another 1,000, and we need to cash out the chips that night based on the play that was done before the camera. And we don't need to be trying to win $50,000. We need to win 100, 200, 300, $400 a night every session, all year long, and Joey Knish our way to independence of financial through playing in the casino. Understand how these people work and go from there. Now, I think some of you, I like a guy that does some reels. His name is Vegas Matt. I know most of you have seen him, and he is fun to watch. And he'll oftentimes play at El Cortez. El Cortez likes him there. He promotes El Cortez a lot, and there's nothing wrong with that casino. It's a fine casino. I've been there, of course. Um, but Vegas Matt will buy in for blackjack. You'll see him put the money out, the $100 bills out, and then he'll draw a nine, and you'll see him buy in so that he can double down another $2,000 or something like that. But every now and then he'll come up with some weird number, like in honor of some date. Like he did the other day, he had 13,285 chips because of some 13,285 recognition of something. We've lost, he said. We're gonna get even or get even worse, as he calls it. And he puts the 13,000 and change down on the banker. Now he's not at the blackjack table. There's a reason he's not, I'm going to tell you. He puts the $13,000 on the banker, and he did indeed win. That was good for him. And of course, he said he won 13,285. We know that he won 95% of that. He did not win the whole thing. But that doesn't matter. What matters is they didn't show you him buy in with $13,000 in $100 bills. He walked up with the checks in his hand. And that's why I'm going to say there's a little dishonesty going on. The reason he didn't play blackjack was because he didn't want to get a double down hand. He didn't want to get a split hand, which you will get a lot in blackjack. It's still a terrible game, of course. I'll tell everybody never play it. But he played Baccarat because there's no double down. I think El Cortez gave him those chips. He didn't show us put down $13,000 in cash. He showed us with the chips in his hand. And I don't think it's really dishonest because it's entertainment anyway. But I think that El Cortez gave him those chips to play. And he promotes El Cortez, and it's good for everybody. And so I'm just saying, I think it was by design that he was playing Baccarat. And if he walked up to the Baccarat table and put 10 $100 bills down and said he was betting $1,000, well, that's a legitimate thing that he's doing. And he does have a lot of money. He can do that. And he's very, very successful influencer because of his approachability. He's funny. He's nice to talk to, and he puts on a good show. I like his shows a lot better than I like Mickey Mays, who is certainly only an influencer and is not really a professional player at all. But I have thought about something that I would like, and this comes back to what Brian's talking about the iBlock Baccarat. Baccarat is a 50-50 game, and I tell you that I began to come up with the idea by looking at the roulette wheel a couple of years ago and realizing that, the roulette wheel, it's like red would be banker and black would be player. And how could you have it to where there was only half the wheel with a B and half the wheel with a P, and that would be roulette? No zeros, no greens in Baccarat. Baccarat is straight up B against P, P against B, and it is entirely luck based on actuarial science of it's going to end up being close to being 50-50. And so that's why I began to realize that the most important thing in a casino is not the selection. It actually isn't blackjack, I'm going to double down. It isn't blackjack, I must stand on this 6. It isn't blackjack of the selection being the most important thing. Even if you played blackjack to win, the most important thing is the bet. It's not the selection. It's how are you handling your bet. And that's why we're winning at Baccarat, because how we handle our bet. The bet is the heart and soul of everything. If you have the bankroll, if you have the patience and the discipline, if you know how to play the single chop, and you know how to go up and down the D'Alembert that we recommend, you are going to eventually win. And most times you're going to win really, really quickly. The same way Bill Lotta is, the same way Casey Steve is, the same way that King John is in Vegas, and the same way Chuck Ritter does all the time. And I probably left out a name or two, but we have a lot of people out there who are playing and winning, and they're winning rather quickly. And so I thought about, why don't you come up with a Baccarat wheel? Why not? You actually could cover all the Baccarat bets with a wheel. You can make half the wheel banker slots. You can make half the wheel player slots. And then you could add the 1.2% to the banker side so that the edge is there. And you could still charge the commission when banker wins. And you could do the Tiger 7 and the Panda 8 at equitable distributions necessary to handle their odds, and they would be on each side, player and banker, and they would be part of the player banker win, but they would be the tiger and the panda. You could do it that way. You also could add an equitable section of ties on either side to cover all of it. And you could do it with one wheel, no cards, and have everybody betting stadium betting in a computer so that you aren't even distributing checks. It could just hit and add to their money, just like an iBlock wheel would, excepting it's not as rigged as I sometimes think an iBlock game is. But it's a roulette wheel with a B on one side and a P on the other. And I've been thinking about designing that and seeing could I propose it to a casino. The reason I don't think they're going to do it is because I think there's a predictability nature to half the wheel being B and the other half being P. But you could answer that by just distributing 36 divided by 2, 18 Bs and 18 Ps. You could do it that way. So anyway, I was thinking about ways that you could, through an economy of scale, make Baccarat a game that doesn't involve the cards, doesn't involve all the dealers, and does let everybody come through. As many people want to play it as there are places that for them to sit. And people do like to do things like at an ATM. They like the privacy of not being there in front of everybody. So I think you would draw more people. But anyway, just a thought that I had, because the game is it is actuarially predictable over time, but in the short term, it can be anything. And so there's some things that I wanted to cover tonight. And I think we could go ahead and play let's play for one session if you don't mind. Yeah, thanks, Casey Steve. These are things I'm putting to you guys for you guys to think about them, because you guys are out there, you're playing this thing all the time and you're seeing it. That's why I do caution people who have never been in a casino. You know, you've watched us do this, so you know how to win, but you're not aware of all of the confusing things that can happen at a table. And you guys that have been out there for a while, you've seen it. There are distractions. There are mistakes made. There are all kinds of things can go on, and I don't want anybody ever losing any money over an error. I want you to track yourself. I want you to have the exact Dellenbear bet. I want you to have the exact selection of single chop. If you can, I want you to wait for the landscape of several quads or quints before you begin in after a chop. I don't want you ever playing a chop back over after there's been 5 or 6 players in a row. We want to do things that give us the best chance of winning, because all of you guys winning is what I care about. And I want to play it. I wish that we could just do it to where I played it for everybody all the time. But we've got people out there. You guys are so smart at this thing now. And I would like for the rookie who wants to go in and play now and knows how to play, I would like to hook them up with a veteran so that they can go and talk together as they're going through it. So they can say, what is this? And then what is that? Because there's lots of bells and whistles that go on, and I want everybody to know it. Yeah, the auto shuffling machines, they don't happen in Baccarat because they don't replay the cards. They throw them away after they're done with them. But the auto shuffling machines, that's blackjack again, and that just gives the house an extra edge in blackjack. Blackjack is the most misreported game. The house has incredible edge in blackjack simply because you got to make your hand first, no matter what. That's the edge. The edge is you are going to be busted and you're going to lose your money 40% of the time before there's even a bet. I want to talk to who, like John Sarasani likes to say that he's the best blackjack player in the world. I want to go watch him play. I want to watch him play 3, 4, 5 sessions in a row. I want to see how it goes. If you really are that good, let me watch you because I want to see. I also want to see how do you bet. I mean, I've seen some things he does, like when he surrenders, he'll do a bet times 1.5 on the next bet. I don't have any argument with that, but I'm just wondering, what do you do on the other bets? What do you do after you've lost 3 in a row, 4 in a row, 5 in a row, 6 in a row? John, you can lose 7 in a row in blackjack. Everybody here has ever played blackjack knows it happens. You can lose 7 hands in a row in blackjack. Oh my goodness, what do you do now? Really? I'm just curious. So that's kind of like an inquiring minds want to know. So let's do a couple of things here. Try to win a $100 session, and what we have the money. We've got the money for 50 times $100. So we're all set. And we're gonna look here. Well, I'll just simply play the baseball bet for $100. That's what I'll do. And I'm gonna play at D'Alembert though. I won't play. I'm not gonna martingale it 3 times. This is the baseball bet. We'll open with as many as 3 baseball bets, meaning betting bank will win one of the first 3. If it wins the first one, we got our money. If it wins the second one, we got our money. If it loses the first 2 and wins the third, we're pretty close to even. If we lose all 3, we got to dig in and try to get ourselves back out of the hole. So let's just see what happens. Anything can happen. These are cards. I just would really like to have that banker and player roulette wheel. Roulette Baccarat, we could call it. Here we go, $100 on the banker. We got our money, $95. That's the end of our session. Thankfully, I've been running my mouth at you for 31 minutes, but I wanted to cover all these things. Now, I want you guys to email me if you have some questions, or when we circle back for the next show, night after tomorrow, because tonight is Sunday. I'll be back Tuesday night at 9 p.m., and I want to talk to you about all those things. And I want to set up a time that I can go see Brian over in Terre Haute, and we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that I block Baccarat, and we might video it and just and do a live video session of it over there, just for your guys' fun and consumption. And we'll play at the low stakes and see whatever happens to it. We'll see whether we think the thing is rigged or not, because I believe the Chinese make the I block, and I believe the Chinese sold it to the casinos based on the fact that the I block will beat everybody. And so we don't know if there's some intuitive nature to the I block based on where you put your bet. We don't know that, but we will get a feel for it by playing it. And so maybe I can get over there with Brian, and we can play a little bit and video it, and it really doesn't matter what the outcome is, because it's going to be for fun anyway. Baccarat on the wheel, that's right. We could call it anything. Some people said they were going to make a movie about me, or write a book about me. An author down in my hometown, Charleston, South Carolina, he's an author, and he wanted to write a book about how I evolved from winning the 2002 Belmont Stakes to becoming a professional player, to realizing eventually that all the card counting in the world was not going to win at blackjack for me, and I certainly wouldn't win more than 1 out of 3 times. I was winning pretty big about 1 out of 3 times, counting every card, even keeping notes about what I had counted. I was able to get away with, but then I transitioned to roulette. Then I transitioned to only black-red in roulette, and the only black-red led me to the Baccarat. And nothing has won for me like Baccarat has won for me. And so I'd like to show how we can do that. And I would also like to try to convince somebody to do a Baccarat wheel. But the book that my author friend was going to write, he was going to call it Feel for the Wheel. And I thought that was kind of catchy. Now all you got to do is figure out a way to have a plot line that's interesting enough for people to read. And I don't think you can do that, not particularly with my life anyway. So it was an interesting thought, but that's not happening. It's a non-starter. But I like the Feel for the Wheel idea, and I like the Baccarat on the wheel that Casey Steve mentioned. Ron, I think he's talking about a totally electronic interblock Baccarat. I've never seen it before, but Brian Brown is at the new casino over there in Terre Haute. It's really a very nice place, and he believes that they have it. And see, Bill Lotta's already onto it. Bill, see, we think alike. If computers are involved, it can be rigged. That's why I tell people never play online, because anything online can be rigged. And maybe they rig it at the most critical time. Maybe they don't rig every last spin of a wheel. Maybe they don't rig every last hand of Baccarat that's dealt. Maybe they only do selection rigging. But we'll be able to play it, and even if we lose a little bit, it's going to be kind of fun. A few laughs. It's a $5 thing, and I'd like to meet Brian anyway over there. Ron's been playing it for 2 months. What are your feelings on it, Ron? Do you believe the iBlock Baccarat is rigged? I would like to know that ahead of time, because now I'd like to know ahead of time how you think they rig it, and how do they rig it against what you bet. If there's more than 4 or 5 people playing it, how they rig it against the certain bettors that are betting the most, things like that. But yeah, good luck. I feel like I'm watching Taken. Good luck, said in Albanian or something. That's excellent, Bill. Hey, Joseph Gorecki is on the way home, man. You have been out there and living the dream. Good for you, man. I'm proud of you, and you've enjoyed your big roll all across America. So be very careful getting home, Joseph, and all the way back to Wisconsin, my friend. Ron says it gives a fair game. All right, then that's all right. We like for that. And so we're going to take a few hundred over and play $5 bets, and I'm going to see, can we video it while there, and see, can we do it. If they don't let me do it with the phone, and I might do it live, just like this, and just say, here's what we're doing. You guys watch it live. See, KC Steve's going to be looking for you, Joseph. He's out there on the road. He's got them wheels turning, man. All right, to all of you, I love you so very much. Hope Toronto is still ahead. We want those Jays to do well tonight, and then on to the next game. Let's keep playing. So I will be back with you guys on Tuesday night, and we will talk about some more things. Any questions you had about what you heard tonight, or any dispute you may have with anything, please let it be known. We're a family, and we talk about these things, and Chuck Witt is asking you guys just as I would. Hit the like button on the way out. It doesn't generate any money. Nobody makes any money off of this. It just gives us a good feel with YouTube that people are watching and that they like what they're seeing. That's all. So, Ron, good night. And Gary, thank you so much. Good night. Amarillo by morning. That's where Joseph Gorecki's heading. Jays is still good. Good. Stay ahead. See you